Good afternoon. This one is called, it may not be afternoon where you are, of course. However, this one is called A Good Read. A young man to whom I was recently recommending a book told me he had so much reading for coursework, he had no time to read other things. I was reminded of the college professor who, when told by a student that he had not had time to complete an essay, replied, "Why, what were you doing at 3 o'clock this morning?" One can read at most times and in most places. It's prudent to cross the road at the pedestrian lights if you have your head in a book, but even walking down the street, most people, apart from the blind and the incapable, will take avoiding action when they see you coming with a book. Those incapable of avoiding you are easily evaded in the event of them expressing annoyance at a collision. Though if you're in England, an apology is still fairly common. Then again, wheelchairs can be painful to the shins. Some care is called for. Reading whilst driving is not generally recommended, unless you are delivering a road train to Alice Springs. It is possible to have a volume on the passenger seat for perusal at traffic lights. The vehicle behind will generally apprise you of the fact when they change. It's prudent to glance in the mirror before you look down to your book in case the car behind is a police car or some other obvious social deviant. Occasionally there are police officers on foot patrol. These may sneak up on you unobserved and look in the window, and being junior enough not to warrant a vehicle, will be eager to prove themselves. Having a large map open on the seat next to an inconspicuous book is a useful gambit against such eventualities. A4 brightly coloured volumes are inclined to attract unwelcome attention. Most bodily functions do not preclude reading. I always have a book beside the lavatory. In that location, one's stays are usually short and well spaced, so pick something containing concepts that may be absorbed individually in a short space of time. A grammar, for example. It's also useful to be able to discover one's place and resume reading rapidly upon one's return. Bookmarks help, and one which distinguishes your place to the verso or recto page can be of even more assistance. However, they are not infallible. Others may use the facility. Curious individuals can lose your place for you. It may be prudent to keep the book elsewhere and pick it up on your way in, or place it on a high shelf next to the bleach. An alternative solution is to mark one's place with a largish sheet of scrap paper, such as the back of an old Christmas card, and write the page number on it each time one finishes reading. Mealtimes are, of course, a recognised occasion for reading. It's probably why people moved from eating from their laps to using tables. Some believe cruets were originally devised for propping books against, their culinary function being a secondary purpose devised by the illiterate. If you cannot discover table companions with books of their own, eat alone. Others may be ignorant enough of their manners to attempt conversation and interrupt concentration. In such a case, do not hesitate to correct them. You owe it to humanity to help in their education, and provided you do not beat about the bush with awkward circumlocution, thanks are not too much to expect for your effort. One word concerning reading whilst eating. Do not get so involved you spill food at the crisis point. Discovering that the pages are stuck together with boiled egg yolk or onion gravy at a vital point can be most upsetting to future readers. A basin wash with a flannel is far too active for reading. Besides, getting the hands wet and soapy doesn't facilitate page turning either, and the mirror can be distracting. Showers are definitely out. However, a long soak in the bath with a liberal addition of extra hot water at intervals can be most satisfactory, and a relaxing way of absorbing the contents of a volume, if not of actually cleansing oneself. The sole disadvantage I've discovered is that for other members of the household, hammering on the door, but generally this is easily ignored. Electronic readers and damp, steamy bathrooms do not mix well, even barring accidents. Sex is not necessarily exclusive to reading, though some positions are more conducive than others. Experimentation and practice are advocated, though this may prove difficult unless one's partner is also a committed bibliophile. If they aren't, ditching them and finding a fresh partner who is may seem like a lot of effort, but it may also be very well worthwhile in the long term. For reading to be productive and enjoyable, it's essential that the reading matter should not become tedious or stale. This is one reason it's good practice to have several books on the go at the same time. However, having books of the same type can lead to confusion. To avoid this, try something like a novel, an autobiography or biography, a work of general non-fiction, such as a history book, a non-fiction work within one's own discipline, and a book in another language to give a really good spread. Some people read plays. In the event that you are not fluent in another language, a language textbook might make a good substitute, thereby closing gaps in your knowledge and opening doors. It's good to start with the European language, such as French or German, where the basic concepts are similar. Discovering that a language has 3 different words and concepts that all translate as the verb to be, as in the Japanese imasu, arimasu, and desu, can be disconcerting if you are an absolute novice in linguistic fluency. Generally, there is little excuse other than blindness or illiteracy for not reading. And the blind and illiterate are nowadays provided with talking books and audio books which can be listened to almost anywhere, with earphones even in noisy environments. There's no reason why the sighted reader should not subvert this facility in situations where it's appropriate. To say one does not have time to read is invidious to those who are concerned for your education and take the trouble of recommending books. By all means, give up films, television, sport, dining out, other such time-consuming entertainments of little productivity, but always have a book. Lastly, remember, if you're not writing the next day's essay, there's little else to do but read at 3 a.m. And as 50 Cent said, sleep, that's for people who've made it. I can't do 50 Cent's accent, but I like the idea. I sleep more nowadays. All right, bye-bye.